I see. It's going to be like half the people in this call are going to be in the next call.
What's the next call?
The Moby maintainers.
Yeah, we just start that one early.
Works for me.
We didn't have much of an agenda on this one, so I threw a couple items in there. We'll see who shows up and wants to talk about more stuff. I guess we could probably reverse the order that I've got in here, which is that scheduling the auth work group I put second, and we got Sajay here, and wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about that. I was looking through the doodle, and it looked like there were 3 or 4 different times it all had the same highest number of checks, but different people are checking different things. And so it might be good to look through and see important contributors that we don't want to have left out.
This is going to be, I guess it's going to be tough. And I created the poll so that people could definitely give inputs. Do we know, at least so that the key stakeholders who want to join in this group can commit to it? I think that's what's important, right?
My suggestion of reviewing the times in this call is probably look at the data, see what seems to be the most promising times, and then pin everybody down live to say, does this time work for you? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
We've always had a large contingent that didn't like this time. Was always hoping for, either really early time or a very late time, so that it would be conducive to, Asia Pacific assistance. So
Did we have anyone from those time zones that were answering the poll that might not have had choices they wanted?
Sheesh, I was talking and I was muted. Sorry.
It's hilarious, Sajay. I saw you talking and I was unmuted and I clicked my mute button and muted myself and said, Sajay, you're muted.
Right. So I caught this when Brandon decided to throw it over the fence so that the poll would go out. I'm not good at Doodle, and I wanted to get a sense of where people are at. So collectively, I think I'll be bungling with everybody here. So let me know what, Brandon, if you have a better idea on this, or anybody else who has a better idea on this, please kind of give inputs, because I'm doing this for the first time. So, and I see that even though these days are grayed out, that's because probably the dates are done, right? But just looking at the check marks, where did folks find as a good time?
There were multiple things that everybody said 9 to. We had 9 checks of some kind. Looking at the proposed owners on the working group, you had myself, Jason, Jeff Carter, Mike Brown, Ram, and Toddy. And so I would say make sure that each of those folks
So we had we actually had 9 respondents okay on Monday, right?
Yeah, there were multiple days. If you look at the top,
Yeah.
that's the number of people that said yes. And so we don't have a single one that stood out as saying this is better than all the others. We had several of these Wednesday at 11. And if you scroll back on Monday, there was a couple of those with 9 respondents as well. So no clear winner. And that's where I would say, look at the people that are like proposed owners, folks that we think are going to be representing a registry of some kind, that sort of thing, and make sure it may prefer the times so we can get them on.
Do you remember what was the reference type working group time that we chose? We could throw that into the mix also, right?
I do not remember.
Okay. So Wednesday 11 a.m. had like 9 as well, right? And Thursday 11 a.m. also has 9 because it'll follow this OCI call. 2 hours of OCI, can people handle it?
I'm curious, a bunch of folks just said they had another one just after this for Moby. Is that ongoing or
We
is that a
have-
one-off?
That's a ongoing every week. It's nominally an hour, but it's usually 2.5. So
Wow. All right. So we see one at Wednesday 11 a.m. that has 9. The other one, the largest one, was also Tuesday at 11 a.m. It seems like 11 a.m. seems to be, and Tuesday 10 a.m. What do others have? Any opinions on this, or nobody wants to do Friday? God.
Now I start to look through them. The Monday afternoon on the very first one that we got there, that's 9, but we don't get VBATs in that one. We also don't get Jason Hall in that one. The next one, Tuesday this time, we don't get Mike Brown in that one. Tuesday, an hour after now.
Yeah, Tuesday at this time is Coop or Signode.
Yeah. Tuesday, an hour later, we don't get VBATs. Arbitron. Hopefully I'm not completely slaughtering your name.
And you don't have to worry about my times too much because that's actually, I'm just PTO those days.
Oh, just the one day. Okay.
John is not available on Wednesday.
Correct. And Rom as well.
Yeah.
Thursday, we lose VBATs.
Tuesday. Almost seems like Tuesday, 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's looking that direction. We just can't get Mike in that one.
Yeah. Tuesday, 10, right?
Tuesday, the one at this time. I don't want to say a number because we're all in different time zones.
Ah, yes. Okay.
But we would get everybody except Mike in that one, it looked like. Sorry, Mike. You're the only one that likes that KubeCon, the Kubernetes stuff.
Yeah, well, me and anybody else running this OCI stuff on a host using Kubernetes or other tools. See, Vince did the same thing I did, if need be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 9 a.m. is not working out for, 9 a.m. PST, which is this one
Mm-hmm.
isn't working out.
This time on
Tuesday.
Tuesday looked pretty good for everybody except for Mike. But when looking through all the list the other days, I feel like we're missing 2 or 3 people.
Right. So the other one that we looked at was Wednesday, right? And that had John was missing here. I'm not seeing Toddy's poll in this. I don't know why.
The Wednesday that I'm looking at, Rom is not in there and Jason's not in there.
Yeah. Okay.
And John. So we're missing a bunch on Wednesday.
Okay.
So of those, I feel like the best one in there looks like this time on Tuesdays. If anyone sees a better one in there, shout out. Calendar
Was
Jenga is not.
a view where you could see the people that were required.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to put checks next to people and says this is a person that's. Yeah.
So Mike, it kind of does affect you, right? So would you be able to make it on like an on need basis, or is the Kubernetes one like the higher priority? I just want to get a sense because definitely you're one of the distribution spec maintainers, so I'm less important here, honestly speaking. I'm just doing the paperwork.
When the SIG node call is short, I'd be able to be late on the call.
Okay.
We can also
almost every Kubernetes SIG node call is affecting Containerd and the CRI stack. I'm one of the CRI maintainers.
Yeah.
For Kubernetes, as well as, obviously Containerd maintainers. So
We can also bring back results to this discussion and make sure we have a lot of details there for people to do async.
Yeah.
So do we want to consider that one scheduled?
Yeah, I can respond back on the email or on Slack saying that tentatively this time slot on Tuesday is what we are thinking about. How do we put this on the calendar? Like,
Probably a message to Amy.
okay, sounds good. All right. No.
tentatively, I suppose once you've scheduled it, we could consider slipping it 30 minutes.
Yes.
There's no reason it has to be on the hour. And I noticed a lot of people can't be in one or the other, but could be there for 30 minutes if it was one or the other. So this time plus 10, 13 minutes for an hour will probably hit more people than on the hour.
Okay, that's that. I'll send out an email.
Door number 2. just saying.
No, that works. That makes sense.
I've got one meeting that's scheduled for 30 minutes off, and I just have to miss it every time because it means that it conflicts with 2 other meetings that are on the hours on both sides.
Scheduling is hard.
Meeting Jenga is not easy.
Scheduling is hard.
So with that, first meeting for that, Sajay, you want to say next week? Any reason to defer the start?
I don't see any reason.
Okay. So we'll kick this off next Tuesday. We'll have a working group.
All right, I'll follow up with Amy and see if we can put it on the calendar and send out an email as well. All right.
Yeah, she's good about that stuff. If you hit her on Slack or something like that, she'll knock that right out. And we'll use the same Zoom call as this one. Keep everything simple.
Sounds good.
Cool. The other thing I threw on the agenda was just to kind of get a temperature check on how the 1.1.0 implementations are going out there. I saw Oris Go looked like you had on the Go implementation side, but not on the Oris client itself just yet. So some progress over there.
Yeah, I think the team has made quite a bit of changes. They don't have any concern with the spec per se. They're okay with even they started the implementation for index with subject as well.
I gave an attempt to try this out on Go Container Registry. That was where I found the panics in the conformance test. So I'm not sure if anybody's run the conformance against certain registries yet. But that one, that's also where I discovered that the content type over there was not being set right, and we never defined it in the spec either. And so it was coming back as text plain from Go Container Registry on the refers response. So that's where I put that change request in for distribution. So we specify what the content type is on the refers response, and hopefully that'll get some standardization there. But yeah, I'm hoping we'll start to find more implementations to this so we can actually start testing, comparing, and seeing tools interoperating with each other a little bit.
You need approvals on that PR for content type 452, right?
I believe I'm still waiting on one on that. It was a small one. Yeah.
Can anybody on the call take a look at that one? I'll share the link if I can find the chat button.
Hey, we got Mike here.
Yes.
Why Accenture here? I was mostly wanting to see about Jason and John because of the Google Grow Container Registry stuff. Wanted to see if they had any concerns one way or another on that since they implemented one way. They haven't said anything. It's been a couple of days. They can always scream later and make another PR to the spec if they need to. That one did test nicely against SOT, and that was what I was expecting just because the content itself actually was an OCI index. So figure the content type should be that as well. Other than that, any other implementations have updates, news, comments, verification that the conformance test works on your registry? And you just can't tell us in public just yet. Rob, I know you and I are going back and forth over in DMs on Reg client SOT stuff, so we'll keep going over there on that one unless you have anything here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the smallest example to point out the problem. But before that, I just want to make sure the issue is not at my end before I waste your time.
No, I mean, if it's at your side and you're paying me on that one, I don't mind that. We can work that out one way or another.
Okay, thanks.
But that's the kind of thing I want to see us trying to work out here before we start to cut a release, is making sure some of the tooling is interoperating with each other.
This is all subject to the, your 452 is all subject to the CVE change that went in roughly a year ago, right? Or on the content type check in the header.
The CV change a while back was that the media type need to be inside of the data itself. So that was already there, I think.
The manifest media type was optional actually.
Yeah, before the CV, the manifest itself, the media type didn't have to be included in the JSON. This is putting the media type in the HTTP header and specifying what that header should be.
Like we're going to have to hit all the registries to find out.
This is the new refers API. So there are any registry that implemented the new API, which is SOT and a branch of, well, it's not a branch. Google Grow Container Registry actually has it in there, but you have to flip a flag to even turn it on. So anybody that's turned on the 1.1 version of the spec so far. But I include it in the conformance test, so we'll know right away if they're not doing it. Okay, and I see Jesse giving his update over there. Did he already drop off? Yeah, he already dropped off. It sounds like they still have
Might
some
not be
work to do.
looking at the right. What's the PR number you're asking for a review on? I think I'm looking at the wrong one.
It's in the chat linked over there. Sajay posted it, 452.
Oh, I'm on the right one. Okay.
And all I add was specifying that the content type header needs to be defined and set to a specific value for the refers API response. Because before that, we didn't have the header defined. And so implementations could specify that header with whatever they want to. I think Rob and I were on the same page on that one, thinking that since the response from the refers API was an OCI index, that would be the content type header as well.
Yeah, I'm not,
There.
I haven't looked at it hard, but I haven't seen yet how it's restricted to the refers content.
So the refers API response is always an OCI index because it's just a list of everything that refers to the requested digest.
Yeah, I see it in the MD file change, but I'm not tracking to the code change.
The code change, there's no, this is the spec for distribution specs. So we didn't have any code necessarily. We had the conformance test. And so the
Okay.
conformance test has that check add in there in 3 places.
Right. I'm just, it doesn't tie to the MD change. That's what I was looking. I looked first at the code, not the change in the spec.
Yeah, just one line in the spec.
Do you want to split that PR into 2 commits, or?
Does it need to be? I kind of like if I make
That's
a
what I'm
change to the
asking.
spec. I tend to like if I make a change to the
reviewing a
spec.
lot. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I see a spec change, and then I see these conformance changes, and I don't see how that ties to the spec change.
So the conformance change is for that one line of the spec change. They're making sure that you actually implement that. They're checking for that header.
It says content type is equal to image.
Index.
In
Image index.
image index. Yeah.
And that's the new header we defined in the spec. Not really new, but
Artifact type A, set query. On the third one, artifact type. Discovery endpoint listing references.
Brandon, does that help if I share? Or
I'm good with that.
yeah, you always try, so I'll help you. So yeah, I think from the spec side, refers API, we want to set the content type. It's a must to the image index. And in the conformance test, we're validating that the response to, this is in context of the refers API, right? So
Yes. Each of those is a refers response. And
The
so it's
last-
basically, it's essentially the spec is the code and the conformance is the test on the code. And so I just want to make sure the test aligned with the spec.
Yeah, I see the third one is in the context of the change. I didn't see on the first 2 changes that it was. Trying to figure the code out real quick.
Yeah, I have a desire to rewrite our conformance test, but not strong enough that I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, it says listing references. I mean, okay, there's the refers digest. I got it right in the first.
Yeah,
Okay.
each one of those, the request above is for the refers API.
right. This is the first one,
Got it.
and this is the second one that's checking for index, and the third one is checking for index. So
Got
the
it.
only big change is that the header is a must. So I think we just got to let everybody know.
Other than that, that was all I had for this meeting. Any other people have topics you want to discuss, or do you want a few minutes before your Moby call? Or does Mike want to take 30 minutes and jump on the next call that he had conflicting?
It's
Mm,
Tuesday.
I figure everybody's got to
Tuesdays,
conflict.
not Thursday.
Tuesday.
Everybody's got to conflict on some day. They've got another meeting they're trying to get to.
I had a question. Should we create another Slack channel for the working group, or
Sure.
I'll use the same thing? I'm okay either way. Just wanted to what I don't remember exactly whether we had one for.
I think we had one back for the
Okay.
working group on the refers, so this will be good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, say create it and then go over in general and say new Slack channel who dis with a link over to it.
Sounds good. We also don't have a repository to create any issues or anything like that, right?
Not yet.
That'll
That's
be
something I
up
think
to-
once we
that's
get
up-
to the point that we need that, we might just start off with like a hack MD and do some brainstorming and see how far we get.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
But I
Thank-
suspect once we get to the point that we need one, we can ask and get that created.
Thanks for the walkthrough on that one, Brendan.
Yeah, no problem.
Looks good to me.
I think I wanted to also introduce Nathan. Nathan, you kind of new to the call. Do you want to give a brief of where you're coming from?
Sure. So I work on Sajay's team on Azure Container Registry. I do a lot of kind of work on our backend services and stuff that do interactions with other registries and stuff. So I've been doing a lot of work on just kind of general kind of interoperation there. So
Welcome.
thank you.
All right. With that, I'm sure that we'll have someone like Josh in the back saying, somebody quick, hurry up, merge all this stuff, make a tag. But
I'll drop before that.
yeah, the stuff I really want to see is how soon can we just looking for more implementations to interoperate with each other. So whenever we get some news of that, I'll be happy to hear from anybody who's got something going on there. And with that, how about we give folks back 25 minutes?
Thanks, folks.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Here's